watched the Mad King die, I remembered him laughing as your father burned. It felt like justice.
Is that what you tell yourself at night? You're a servant of justice. That you were avenging my father when you shoved your sword in Aerys Targaryen's back.
What's the deal, my people? You know it is, the Don Tony Teflon, and I'm back at you with another Game of Thrones video for 2019, first one of the year. And before we get into it, I just want to say 2018 was a tremendous, amazing year for Teflon TV. Our subscriber count jumped. We almost hit 30,000. We are just about there. No one would have ever thought that we would have been able to get that far. And I just want to thank you for subscribing and thumbs upping and sharing my video, and all my Patreons. The Don gives you the super shout out. You know what I mean? Thank you. Much love from the Don's heart for putting your money where your mouth is and saying that you love Teflon TV so much that you're willing to donate to me. That means more than anything. But if you can't donate, just subscribing, liking, and sharing is all I ever ask for you, is to do that. And look, you've done it, and you gotten me all the way up to almost 30,000 subscribers. But I think we can get higher than that. I think we can go much farther than that. I can't do it without you, and I wouldn't want to do it without you. So once again, I want to give you a shout out and let you know that this upcoming year is gonna get even iller. We got more cutting edge stuff, and we're gonna be doing things for this upcoming season for Game of Thrones that no one's ever done for a Game of Thrones live stream, and it's gonna be getting all y'all involved. So make sure you're subscribed so you can jump on that with us when we get that going. And in this Game of Thrones Season 8 huge clue video, I'm going to give you 100% proof what really drove the Mad King mad. King Aerys was regarded as a good king up until 277 AC, when the defiance of Duskendale happened. Now, Lord Dennis decided that he didn't want to pay taxes anymore, and he knew that there was a rift in between Tywin Lannister and the king, and he knew that this would not float with Tywin Lannister. So he asked the king to come see him. Now, Tywin told the king, don't do that, but the king wanted to act like he was Billy Badass and he was above Tywin, decided to go out there on his own. So the king decides to roll out there with one Kingsguardman, Sir Gawain, gone, and a couple of knights with him. Now when he gets out there, Gawain and the rest of these knights get killed, and he gets bagged up, stripped naked, and thrown into the cell. It is even said that a squire had the balls to grab the king's beard and pull on it. That's how disrespectful they were being. Now, Lord Daenerys thought he had the upper hand, but he must have forgot he was dealing with Tywin Lannister, because Daenerys was like, don't come up in here or I'm gonna kill the king, and Tywin was like, I don't care if you kill the king, I'm coming up in there and killing everybody in the town. Now, people did not want the king to die. Tywin allowed one shot to save the king. Disguised as a hooded beggar, the badass himself, Sir Barristan Selmy, breaks into Duskendale, saves the king. Not only does he save the king, he avenges his brother's death by killing the man who killed him and brings the king back to safety. But after this, the king is crazy. The king doesn't trust anybody. Who would, after being through all this? And this is when people say Aerys truly became the Mad King. Now, while being held prisoner, I believe that the Mad King was shown images, visions of the future by Blood Raven. And these visions is what drove him mad. He could not stop seeing all of the whites attacking King's Landing. And this is the reason why I believe he truly put all the wildfire throughout the kingdom, to burn the kingdom down, so when the whites showed up, they would get nothing but ashes. Now, before we see Bran warg Hodor in the past and affect the future, before we truly see why Hodor says Hodor, we hear Blood Raven say to Bran, listen to your friend. How does he know for Bran to listen to his friend. Why does he tell him this? Because Bloodraven has done this before. He knows what's going on. That's why he says this, and the person he did it to was King Aerys, and this is what drove him mad. So I know that this theory is pretty wild, and if you've been a fan of my channel, you know I come up with pretty wild theories. That's just what I do, and I'm not afraid to put myself out there and say them. And if I'm right, I'm right, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But we know that in the books, George R. R. Martin likes to put Easter eggs throughout it, and we've seen these hints in the show also to wink at us book readers. We've seen them like using the R+L=J and putting that in the background, and I believe they've also done this with the Mad King that tells you exactly why he is mad. Now this is something that I think that most fans or YouTubers also have missed. I was going to put this in my last video, but I edited it out by accident, so that's why I'm dropping this video, because the other one truly wasn't about the Mad King. It was more about Bran, but I'd had to touch on the Mad King storyline to explain the Bran part. Now the more I think about it, I think people are truly underestimating the scope of Bran's visions, and why is Bran being shown these exact visions by Bloodraven when he's being dragged away from Bloodraven's tree. These must be the most important visions, because this is exactly what they're showing us. Obviously he knows everything throughout history of time that there ever happened in Westeros, but it's these specific visions that they're showing us in the show, and the visions just happen to be the Mad King saying burn them all. Why would they show that? This must be really or truly important to the end game of Game of Thrones season 8. Because I think we already know that fire is effective against the whites. And if fire is going to be effective against the whites, then wildfire is going to be doubly effective against the whites, right? We don't need to bring in Sherlock Holmes to solve this one. We know that, right? So it can't be because of that. They can't be showing us this to say, hey, look, wildfire is going to be effective on them. We know that's the case. So there's no reason for them to show us that vision of the Mad King just to say wildfire is going to be effective. It has to be something else. And they show Jaime Lannister killing him. So they show Jaime Lannister killing the king, and they also show the king saying burn them all. So these two things are tied together. So what happened at this particular time? The only thing that we can say is that Jaime Lannister claims to have killed the king because there was wildfire stashed all over King's Landing. So the vision must have something to do with the wildfire being stashed all over King's Landing. Now, is it saying that, hey, they're going to need the wildfire stashed at King's Landing? Or they're going to say, hey, is it a warning that there's wildfire stashed at King's Landing? That means to me that the White Walkers will make it all the way to King's Landing in season 8. They will not be stopped at Winterfell. They will not be killed there. The Night's King will not fall at Winterfell. He will not be stopped. He will make his way all the way down to King's Landing, and this wildfire that the king was saying burn them all about must come into play. But that's my opinion. You tell me what you think. Do you think the wildfire will come into play in this upcoming season? And if so, how will it come into play? Will it come into play to fight the White Walkers and the Night's King? Or will it just come into play Cersei trying to burn Jon Snow and Daenerys and the dragons after they defeat the Night's King? Let me know in the comment section what you think. Alright, my people. Now, like I said, they like to give hidden clues, to give a wink at the book fans, and I think they've done that, and I think that they will explain this upcoming season exactly why the Mad King was mad. And it's going to be because Bloodraven was sending him these messages, and that's what made him mad. Exactly the same thing that happened to Hodor. And the reason why he was still able to talk and Hodor wasn't was because Hodor was physically warged and the Mad King wasn't. He was just shown visions, and he shit his pants over these visions. And who wouldn't if you seen a dragon flying over overhead a ice dragon and a bunch of zombies about to attack King's Landing. You tell me if you wouldn't go mad also. So this is the hint I think they gave us to say that this is exactly what happened. And we know that Bran Stark is the #1 person associated with White Walkers, the Night's King, and anything going on beyond the wall. And this comes from season 1.
Is it Trace or the White Walkers?
The White Walkers have been gone for thousands of years.
So he was lying.
The madman sees what he sees.
And as we know, you can't trust anybody more than Old Nan and Ned Stark. And Ned Stark said it. A madman sees what a madman sees. And what he saw was exactly what Bloodraven showed him. The visions of the White Walkers. But tell me what you think. Please subscribe and put it in the comment section. And until next time, peace and stay sexy.